Hi everybody, I'm Boris Schlossberg, and you know I love ChatGPT. I use it to code and create tools for you so you can make better trading strategies. But if you're a regular retail trader who just wants to simply use the power of AI to help you with your own edge, here's 3 ways that ChatGPT can make you instantly a much better trader. Let's get into them. Number 1, the best news analyst in the world. We all know that supply and demand moves prices, but it's news and news events that move supply and demand. So it's really important, even if you don't really pay attention that much to news, to be well informed. And nothing can inform you better, faster, quicker, and more accurately than using ChatGPT. Let me give you an example of just how powerful it is as a tool for news gathering and information. You can simply ask it, hey, I trade Forex, stock indices, and gold. Please tell me all the important stories that happened last week and provide me with key economic and political events that I should be aware of in the upcoming week. Include them in a nice little table so that I can see the time of release for each one of those events. I'm going to put this prompt to ChatGPT. Let's see what it does for me. And it's simply going to go search the web, find all the information that I need, and come back and tell me everything that happened last week, as well as everything that's going to be happening this week. So it gives me a nice, clean summary of the key events that are happening in the world right now, with, of course, tariffs being the primary story, and the secondary story being what the Fed is going to do, plus what the other central banks in the world are doing, including ECB, which cut the rates last week. All of this nice, neatly, as well as telling me that gold has now surged to an absolute all-time high. These are all really important events that just can be summarized for me in a matter of an instant. But then it doesn't stop there. I wanted to tell me what's coming up so that I could be really well prepared for the week ahead. And here it does not fail. It gives me all the key events coming up in the US right now, including new home sales, durable goods, flash manufacturing, final Michigan PMI, all of these things that matter. And if I want to broaden my perspective and say, but hey, let's say I trade Forex, let's say, what about Europe and Asia? I want to know what's going on in those parts of the world next week as well. And it's going to go out there, search it, and tell me the key focus points, the major news pivots I need to be paying attention to in order to be able to trade all those sessions. So here we have key European and Asian events, including all of the political events, but then we also have the key economic indicators, which is a really great source for us. So we have the Tokyo CPI, the French business confidence, we have industrial production, all of this summarized, and also telling us, of course, that it's because it's after Holy Week, we have a little bit of a light schedule. All of this in a matter of just 2 minutes. Imagine how easy it is to prepare yourself for your trading plan for the week ahead by simply using ChatGPT to be able to drill down and tell you what's going on. And you don't have to stop there. You can ask it deeper, more penetrating, more specific questions. It'll be happy to help you in any specific instrument and any specific part of the world that you're interested in trading. It will give you a much deeper and in-depth discussion of what it is that you want to know. Having that knowledge at your fingertips gives you an enormous amount of power to make the proper tools for the proper trades when the events happen. Number 2, the best trading mentor you will ever have. ChatGPT knows more about trading than any human being alive and will answer any of your questions, whether they be super smart or super simple. It will be very, very patient with you and give you just the right answer that you need. One good example of this, for example, right now, is something called the basis trade. This is a very convoluted, complicated idea, but it is threatening the financial markets all across the world. In fact, it was the foundational threat in 2018 and in COVID in 2020. But most traders, and most retail traders certainly, are not even aware of what it is, much less how it works. ChatGPT can help you on that area and really make you far ahead of the crowd. So a very simple query that we can ask it is something like this. I'm a retail trader, but I'm not well educated in economics or finance. Please explain to me in simple terms, what is a basis trade, why is it popular, and why can it be a problem for the financial markets? And then just simply hit send, and let's see what it comes up with. Here's a simple breakdown of what is a basis trade. A basis trade is when investors, like hedge funds, try to make money from small differences in price from 2 related things. In This case, it's essentially futures contracts and the actual underlying bonds that trade. So what they're essentially saying is, hey, this bond costs one price now, and in the futures contract, it is priced a little differently. So let's buy one and sell the other because we're certain that that value is going to ultimately coincide to a single value. And that coincision, that basic move towards the single value is where we're going to have the profit. So the difference in price between the two futures contracts is what creates the basis trade. Why is it popular? It's a low-risk strategy. In theory, you're owning two of the exact same things. You don't have any directional risk. You don't have any instrument risk. That's always, of course, the theory. And the way you make money, because the spreads, the difference in prices between the futures contracts and the underlying bonds tend to be very, very small, obviously, you need to have to use a lot of leverage in order to be able to amplify those tiny pennies into millions and millions of dollars. That's how they make money. They use leverage to attain big profits. It creates steady returns, and in safe, normal times, it usually is an ability to basically print money with virtually no risk. But why can it be a problem? Here's when things get tricky. When people use too much leverage because the profits are small, traders can borrow huge amounts to make it worth it. And that means small market moves can cause massive losses. Market stresses, like when you have lots of stress right now, that can create a breakdown between that relationship. Even a tiny little breakdown, let's say it's supposed to, the difference is 5 cents, but now it goes to 10 cents. Well, it doesn't seem like a lot. It's a 5-cent difference. But if you amplified it by 2, 3, 4, 5,000% because you've leveraged yourself out so much, that now becomes a difference of $500 million against you versus $500 million for. And of course, systemic risk. If enough hedge funds are doing this trade and it goes wrong, they might all have to dump the assets at the same time, and that will destabilize the market, and all those prices will not coincide to that one analogy. So here's a simple analogy to make you understand for those that are not economically literate. You could say, imagine you have a spot candy bar selling for $1 in one store and $1.05 in another. You think, easy, I'll buy the first store and sell in the second and make 5 cents. But what if one store closes early? You borrowed money to buy 1,000 bars, and now you can't sell them because the other store is closed, and the price in the second store suddenly drops. Now you're stuck, and your small, safe profit turns into a huge loss. Let me know if this makes sense to you and show you how this actually happened during 2020 market meltdown. You see, even the most economically illiterate, someone who's completely ignorant and someone who's not even interested in economics or finance, could easily understand that if you buy a candy bar in one store, try to sell it in another store, and the other store just simply isn't open for business, you're suddenly stuck with 1,000 candy bars that you really don't want, because you're not buying them for the candy bars, you're buying them for the difference in two prices. And it's a great, great strategy when the markets are calm. But that is a strategy that can literally blow up the global financial system because it is practiced in such huge scope and such huge size by so many hedge funds, precisely because it is deemed to be so safe and trustworthy most of the time. Now, as a result of ChatGPT and its mentorship, you're kind of aware of what's going on. And whenever you hear that on the news, whenever you see the impact of that in the news prices, you can begin to understand why it's such an important part of trading. Number 3, the best technical analyst you will ever see. ChatGPT can answer any technical analysis question you ask it against any instrument that's out there. And because it's able to search the web, it can pull all the data from all these various sources and collate it for you into a nice, neat format. Let's take a look at a basic technical analysis query that you might want to make against something like gold. You can say, analyze gold for me on an hourly, daily, and weekly basis, multi-time frame analysis, with key technical data such as RSI and MACD and any other important technical information you think I need to see. Point out the key support and resistance levels and suggest possible trades. Please put all of this into a nice, neat tabular format so that I can have it for easy reading. Let's see what it will do for us. I just simply press the button and it's going to go out on the web, pull all this important technical data about gold for me, and then hopefully collate it into something that I can use as a potential trade source of trade ideas. So here it is, a nice, neat, tabular analysis of gold on a multi-time frame analysis, giving us the exact readings of RSI, MACD, trend, key support and resistance levels, and possible trade ideas. All of it in a nice, neat little format that we can then extract and be able to analyze ourselves. You can see over here that on the hourly, it's kind of neutral. On a daily, it's approaching overbought, and on weekly, it's clearly overbought. So it still looks bullish on all those time frames, but clearly starting to slow down on the hourly time frame, and it gives you key support and resistance levels on the chart. You can ask it anything else that you like. It can tell you additional technical indicators like the MACD and the moving averages, which is at the 51s at 2,900 and the 100 2,800, stochastics, Williams, anything else, and you could say trade recommendations. Consider buying on pullbacks near the 32.88 level support zone and targeting 33.40. This is on a short-term intraday basis. And if you're a long-term trader, you can say the overarching trade remains strongly bullish. Consider adding to long positions on significant pullbacks, especially if price approaches key support at 31.70 and 30.48. Basically, it gives you all the key ideas of how you want to be managing the trade. It also tells you the key factors that could impact your trades. For example, geopolitical factors, ongoing geopolitical tensions such as recent airstrikes in the Middle East continue to influence gold strikes, stay informed on global events, and economic indicators, including data releases, inflation reports, and central bank announcements are all having an impact. And these are all basic analytical information that we have that it pulls from. But most importantly, what it does is it just simply collates everything into a nice, neat format. And you yourself can choose which technical indicators you wanted to focus on, which moving average crosses you wanted to focus on, and construct really intelligent, well thought out trade ideas all in a matter of minutes. There is no better technical analyst out there than ChatGPT, and if you're not using it, you're really missing out. 3 things that ChatGPT can do for you. It's a news analyst, it's a technical analyst, and it's a terrific trading mentor that can explain all sorts of complex economic, financial, and trading concepts to you in simple, easy to understand terms. How can you possibly not use ChatGPT in this day and age in order to give yourself the trading edge that you need? I hope you guys really enjoy it. I've included the generic versions of these prompts in the comments. Feel free to copy them and simply input them to your own variables that you want to see, and hopefully you will get as much benefit out of ChatGPT as I do. Boris Schlossberg, wishing you guys the best of luck in the markets. Over and out.